Hey guys, I'm Damien Karowski here from overundertalk.com, here to talk about tomorrow's Moneyball slate and the best plays of the day for the Thursday Monster. So I'm joined here today by Jake Nichols, aka Tachyon, and Trent Arnold, aka Trent Arnold NBA. How are you doing today, Trent?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited to get into some Moneyball.
Yeah.
Been standing up a little bit really hard today because it's a massive game slate tomorrow and there's not a lot going on after that. Friday's a pretty bad slate, so tomorrow's going to be hopefully where we make our money.
Yeah, an 11-game slate tomorrow for the Thursday Monster, and that is the specialty of Tachyon here to my right. How are you doing?
Good. I just went out for a good feed and I've rushed back in time to help send out some tips for the guys at home. So looking forward to going over some of the key players. Also trying to find out which players you've got to have in your team tomorrow if you're playing in that Thursday Monster on Moneyball.
That is what we're here for, and tonight we'll be going over all the positions in order. Rather than go matchup by matchup, we're going to be doing it point guard, then shooting guard, and so on and so forth, just to kind of keep it more focused and more efficient, get like a better idea of the positions and how the salary will factor into that, rather than just going through the matchups individually. So we're going to start off with the point guard, and straight up we will go over the elite options to start, because there's a couple of them tomorrow. There's actually quite a few. So in that top tier range, we have Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, Chris Paul, John Wall, and Kemba Walker. So what do we think of those guys tomorrow? Kemba Walker is questionable. I will throw that in right now. But yeah, are there any potential plays there?
I think in the form that he's in at the moment, Russell Westbrook's always a potential play. And against Washington, it's a fast-paced matchup. And against Orlando. Against Washington the other day, I played him in a fast-paced matchup, and it was really good. And now he's got Orlando this time, and I think that's also going to be a good matchup for him because they're not the greatest team. Obviously, they did have some good form early, and they've been a little bit better lately. But I think against Elfrid Payton and the Magic, he's going to play really well, so I like him.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with his form. He is an absolute fantasy monster. Let's just take a quick look at these numbers. I mean, that's ridiculous. Like, there's between him and Durant, they're two of the biggest fantasy players on the same team, but I think Westbrook has to be considered the better fantasy player. Would you agree? Better
fantasy player because he really does it all.
Yeah.
And as you've talked about before with Rondo, how like an assist is sort of a guarantee because you've got the ball in your hand and you're getting a lot of points for an assist. Westbrook obviously has the ability to give out more assists than Kevin Durant does.
Yeah.
Just want to highlight as well, that's his 7th triple-double of the season, guys.
Yeah, pretty insane.
In his last game there, so he's obviously in some great form.
Catching Draymond.
Over under 15 on the season for Russell. Where do you have him?
Tough, I reckon.
You
can't. It's a tough call.
He seems to have found that balance a little bit better lately.
He has.
He's found that sort of 15 points, 12 assists, and 10 rebounds every game sort of thing. And he's not going for the massive 30-point games like Durant is, but that's where the balance for those two have both been really good.
Yeah, I think Westbrook is definitely in play tomorrow as an elite point guard, but there's also another one that I like at a premium price. That's Chris Paul in a favourable matchup. But the thing is, with Chris Paul, I backed him in a favourable matchup against Chicago last game, and he just disappointed. I don't think he's as safe of a bet as Russell Westbrook. So I think if you're going to be paying up for the point guard, you almost have to try and find that extra 1,000 to go up to Russell Westbrook, just because he's so consistent.
I think you're almost guaranteed at least a 45 with Westbrook, and it's looking like it's going to be a 50 a lot of the time. So even for his salary, you've pretty much got to lock him in a lot of the time, I think, and I pay up for him fairly often.
Yeah, as far as matchup goes, pretty middle of the road, but it's not an issue when it comes to Russell Westbrook. He's as matchup proof comes.
It's not the Spurs, so it's okay.
Yep.
In that elite range, it's got to be Russell Westbrook, really. Chris Paul if you're feeling very brave. But yeah, so moving on to the next tier, that kind of like great but not excellent tier, we have Rajon Rondo, Isaiah Thomas, Drew Holiday, Ish Smith, and Tyreke Evans. Now, Tyreke Evans is doubtful, which means good things for Drew Holiday, but that should have been the case last game and he let us down and it's in a bad matchup, so I think we can kind of scratch him straight away. Any disagreements there?
Yeah, it's tough to scratch someone just because of one game, but you're right.
And the Spurs.
He's got, exactly right. In that kind of matchup, you're not going to play him, I think.
Yeah, he's a scratch here for sure. Rajon Rondo also is on the doubtful tag with turf toe. Old turf toe.
Turf toe strikes again.
Best injury out there. The most brutal too, but yeah, it's claimed another victim tomorrow, Rajon Rondo. So if you're going to put him in your lineup, you're waiting on that late news, and I wouldn't really risk it. Ish Smith. Does anyone have any thoughts on him? He was an automatic play for a long time there.
Nah.
But
I'm not interested in Ish Smith at the moment. He was an automatic play for a long time there when he was around 5, 6k, but now he's at 7, and it's really hard to play him in my opinion.
Yeah.
Do you think it's just because of the salary, or his production's falling off a bit as well? A bit of both?
I think it's just the fact that at 5 or 6k he's a little bit inconsistent, as you can see from his scores, and you don't mind that at 5 or 6k, but at 7k you pretty much need that consistent somewhere in the 30s every game. And he does put up scores in the 20s, and you see one in the teens there, and you can't afford that, I don't think, at 7k.
No, you're right. It's a bit too up and down, and definitely suited more towards a tournament play. And over his last 10, he has been averaging 35 points per game over his last 10, which is still a great return for 7k. So
5 times.
Yep.
So yeah, I think he'll be a very low. He won't be very played tomorrow. So if you're looking for that point of difference, it could be him. And as you said, tournament play really, because if he goes bang, you'll be like last game against the Warriors. But then again, who expected that game to turn out the way it did? Maybe Draymond Green, if he stays that selfish. But yeah, I think in this mid-range, there's not a whole lot of action going on. Isaiah Thomas against the Pistons, just a standard middle-of-the-road matchup that you don't really want to touch. But yeah, the value is really in the elite or the mid-ranges tomorrow. So moving on to those mid-range players. The next tier, we have Reggie Jackson, Kyrie Irving, Ricky Rubio, Goran Dragic, Tony Parker, Jeff Teague, and Jarrett Jack. Is there anything there that anyone likes? I know you mentioned Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, there's actually a few that interest me around this price range. There's George Hill is a little bit lower, but in this price range with Kyrie Irving and Jeff Teague, I'm interested in both. I think for Kyrie Irving, everyone knows that there's a good buzz going around in Cleveland right now with the change of coach, and they've been playing some pretty good ball, all big three. I think they have been scoring 20 points per game, all three of them in the last couple of games, which is huge for those guys, and obviously Irving putting up some good fantasy scores. So I think in a good matchup, it's going to be a great pick.
No, you're right, and it's coming off that overtime game against the Pacers. So inflated his stats just marginally in that last game, but it's okay. He had the 25 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists game against the Pacers and went to overtime. Just for another fun fact as well, through Kyrie Irving's career, has never missed a free throw in overtime. Just saw that one earlier today, so that's not a bad stat.
Yeah, that's pretty clutch.
Clutch free throw. I think it's only in the high 30s he's taken or something, so it's nothing amazing, but
still fairly
nothing in terms of quantity, but still a fairly good stat.
Yeah, I think you said before that like Cleveland's kind of finally clicking right now. And as much as Cleveland have improved and they're looking better, I think the biggest part of that is probably Kyrie. Kevin Love's been unreal, but Kyrie Irving's finally kind of got his groove back, as you can see from these last 3 scores here. So it's a little bit easier to trust him. So at this price tag of $6,500, I think he's certainly in play, considering he's lifting his game now that old Blatt is gone.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing about Cleveland at the moment, though, is the fact that they've Tyronn Lue come out and said, we're going to play faster, and the defense is going to lift and stuff, and the guys have all come out and they're with the media and said, we're playing faster, we like it more, we like this offense, we like how we're playing defense, but they're actually not playing any faster or anything. It's just that different mindset that's really got them lifted at the moment. I think in change coach, if you don't like your boss at work, you don't like going to work, but when your boss changes, if you like the guy, you're going to play better for him, you're going to work better for him. So I think that's what's happening there, and I think we can continue to see these guys playing well, at least for, the short future.
Yeah, alright then. So you mentioned, which one was it? Jeff Teague as well in that range.
Yeah, ever since the trade rumours came up around, Teague's been playing some pretty good basketball, and this is a pretty good matchup against Philly, who don't defend the point guard very well.
Yeah, he is coming off an absolute gem of a game.
And even those 27, 28 there, that's not a bad return for 5-7.
But the thing is, do you do you trust that he's away from these 15s and 13s? Because that was when he was getting benched for Dennis Schroeder like mid-game. Do you think that's behind him? Enough to trust him?
I think that if he really is on the market, he's not going to get benched for Schroeder anymore because that they've got to increase that trade value as much as they can. So for the short term, they're probably going to say to Schroeder, "Oh, you're going to be playing less minutes," but because we're maybe looking to move Jeff Teague. So at the moment, you think that he's getting more minutes than he probably should, or Schroeder will be getting less minutes than usual because they want Teague on display, so they got get more trade value out of him.
It's a tough situation at the Hawks, and we've commented before in one of our streams that they are in a similar situation to how the Spurs play, or use their rotations. How there's a lot of equality, I guess, through the lineups where you can mix and match guys really easily and with different lineups, and that is the case with Schroeder and Jeff Teague as well. So Jeff Teague, although his minutes are lifted, he's still around the 28 to 30 minute mark, which for a starting point guard isn't really the type of value you're after, but that's why his price is pretty low for a guy of Jeff Teague's quality.
Yeah. So do we like him more than Kyrie Irving?
Yeah, that's a tough call.
The matchup's better and the price is lower.
And he's come off that 50-point game, so he's obviously
rolling. Yeah,
he's on a bit of a roll.
I think I personally like him better than Irving, but
I completely agree, and I am going to jump on board as much as I like Kyrie as well.
Yeah.
It really comes down to whether or not we're going to run with Westbrook as an elite player, because we could run with Teague and Irving if that's not the case.
Alright, so do we put that in now then, those two? I mean...
And then upgrade if we have the cash.
I'm playing Westbrook for sure, but we will go to those two. Jeff Teague?
Just as value for now.
So moving on to the next tier.
Tony Rotten in there on Moneyball has got the misspell, haven't they?
Oh yeah, the double T. Have never noticed that.
No, Tony Rotten Moneyball apparently.
Alright, so next tier we are looking at...
Maybe they're trying to tell you something.
Marcus Smart, Tony Rotten, Deron Williams, Jeremy Lin, Dennis Schroeder, Derrick Rose, Jameer Nelson, Emmanuel Mudiay, and Elfrid Payton. Now, there's a few names in there that warrant some consideration. There are also a few names in there that are out. Jameer Nelson for the Nuggets is not going to be playing, which means good things for the other name in there, Emmanuel Mudiay. And back, obviously, Tony Rotten. No dice. Yeah. I'll kick it off here with Jeremy Lin. I'll chuck some news at you. Nicholas Batum is doubtful to play, and Kemba Walker is questionable, as we mentioned before. So that obviously means big minutes for Jeremy Lin. But the question I put to you guys is, do the Cavs blow them out?
I think last time I checked, the line was around 7 to 9 mark.
7 to 9. That is way too low.
Let me just double check this. I might have it in front of me. No, there's still no line set yet, but you expecting it to be higher than that?
I think it'll be a blowout. That's why I'm scared of even Kyrie. Listen to those names that are out. Nick Batum and Kemba Walker. Who's after them? Jeremy Lamb is another one who's a potential out. They're going to be so short-handed.
No, they're going to be real short at the guards. But that also means, as you might have alluded to, is higher usage rate for some of the blokes on the team. And they're still going to get their 25-plus minutes regardless. And if the usage rate takes a bump, especially for a guy like Jeremy Lin who loves having the ball in his hands, there's a bit of value there at 5'5".
I mean, so I'm looking at ESPN right now, Charlotte Hornets depth chart, and we mentioned Nick Batum, Jeremy Lamb, Kemba Walker, Jeremy Lin. Then they've got Brian Roberts and Aaron Harrison, and I don't think I've seen any of Aaron Harrison, and that's 4 out of 6 guys in their guard rotation now. So even if it is a blowout, can they even afford to sit Lin, because they don't have anyone else there to play?
I don't think they can afford to give him less than 30 minutes.
No, so he should play a very healthy amount of minutes, you'd think, even in any situation. So he's definitely worth consideration, I think.
But we don't like him more than Teague or Irving?
No. Not as it stands now.
Yeah, they're the safer plays, strangely enough, those guys on the screen.
So does Teague being in our lineup, does that mean we're anti-Schroeder as well? I think so. Nothing to see.
I think the only time I've ever played Schroeder really is when Teague's missing from the team.
So that brings us to another one. Derrick Rose, who I most likely will be playing tomorrow in a good matchup against Sacramento Kings, who once again could be very short-handed with Rondo out, and more news at other positions we'll get to later. But they've been a good matchup for point guards all year long, and Derrick Rose is still somehow in the low 5k range, and he's been in good form.
Yeah.
Like, you see that 5.5 there, disregard that, and you're looking at almost 5 times value, even at his current price, for the last 8 games or so. So I really don't understand how he's still at this price.
I think maybe the 5.5s sort of factored into the averages, and maybe Moneyball are looking at the average score of recent games.
I think that's what we have to take advantage of.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I think the fact that he's put up sort of 25 mark against some really good point guard defenses, which is like Utah and say I saw Cleveland and Miami in there. Not so much Cleveland, sorry, but yeah, Utah and Miami. Even though I think that was the game he got injured in. But
Boston.
He's been really good against some point guard defenses there. So really good point guard defenses. Sorry, and I think that if he can do that against a bad matchup, then against a good matchup, you'd expect some good things from him. I think.
Yeah. So I'm on Derrick Rose tomorrow. What about you?
Yeah.
Yep.
You've talked me into that a little bit. I was happy with the guys we have on screen, so I'm trying to figure out which one we're going to take him over.
Well, this is the way I'm looking at it. I like him more than both these guys, particularly in double-ups. In tournaments, I actually quite like Jeff Teague.
Yep.
And Kyrie Irving for that fact, but I think Jeff Teague is more of a tournament play tomorrow.
Yep. So we're making a double-up lineup.
Yeah.
We're going to take Teague out, I assume.
Teague out.
That's fair.
For D Rose. Alright, so and another one in that range which doesn't really warrant consideration because of a bad matchup with Utah. Emmanuel Mudiay has been in some great form lately and still at 5k, but I don't think he's worth a play over these guys.
Definitely a contrarian play. Like, he'll be heavily underowned tomorrow.
Same with Alfred Payton as well, but he's been so slow sometimes, and the thing is, he's so unproductive when he's next to Victor Oladipo, and you just can't count on their minutes being staggered too much. So I don't think Payton should really be in consideration too much. So moving on, just some of the key picks from the next price range from 5k downwards: George Hill, Darren Collison, Norris Cole, Donald Sloan, and JJ Barea, and Raymond Felton actually for that matter. So just capping why they're in play. Do you want to take George Hill, Trent? You've been monitoring him.
I do like George Hill, and he's been playing a lot of minutes. I think before the last game we recommended him because he'd been playing 38 minutes per game. And in the last game we played him, he scored 39 Moneyball points, which is absolutely huge. It was priced at 4.9 that time, and that's a massive return for a guy there at that price. And yeah, the 38 minutes was a huge factor, and a good matchup again against Brooklyn. And if he sees that 38, 39 minutes again, even though it was bumped up last time by overtime, but if it's around 35 to 38 minutes again, you'd expect that he's going to put up somewhere near 25 to 30 points. So 5 to 6 times value, I would think. Another
tournament play, I think, and that's why we're doing this, the Thursday Monster. But yeah, he's certainly a boom or bust player, but even his bust I don't think is too bad at 4.9. So Darren Collison is obviously in consideration if Rondo misses with turf toe. Turf toe? I just love saying turf toe.
Oh yeah, I love turf toe.
Yeah, Norris Cole has been in some blistering form, just kind of picking up where Drew Holiday's been letting it go, really. But yeah, I think he's a little bit too inconsistent to get into a team tomorrow. And then you just come down to the ones, Donald Sloan just somehow getting minutes on a team, so he's worth a look. JJ Barea is, Deron Williams is actually questionable. So if he doesn't go, JJ and Raymond Felton, both around the same price, 4.139.
I'm going to butt in with a quick question. So you're expecting the Cavs to blow out the Hornets.
Yep. Does
it mean Dellavedova gets played?
I mean, it means he gets minutes and gets played in the game, but not on my fantasy team.
No. Can you bring up his game log? We'll just have a quick look to see maybe some of the games where they're blowing teams out and see what he's been doing. It's tough to really get a read.
Phoenix was a blowout.
Yeah, so not quite enough.
A blowout.
He's hitting value, but only just.
Yeah.
There's only that one game where you got a good ceiling in there, 33, but apart from that, pretty average pick. Stay away from Delhi.
Pretty much. So anyone else who likes sub 4K? Tyler Johnson, not really. Shane Larkin with a gig.
Interesting, but
yeah, I don't think you really go down this far, considering there's a lot of value to be had on the days where there's a huge slate like tomorrow. So moving on to shooting guard,
That's
unless
good.
anyone else has.
No, I'm pretty happy with those 2 point guards, like especially name value, like disregard salary and all that
2
kind of stuff.
former All-Stars and a former MVP.
Yep.
For just a cool 11-8.
Apparently that counted for a little bit more in fantasy sports.
Yeah. If
Names don't mean a thing, mate.
If they bounce back from their injuries, they'll be fine. So moving on to shooting guard. So let's start with the one elite at the position in play tomorrow. There's only a few elites at the position on any given day, but tomorrow it's Jimmy Butler in a matchup against the Sacramento Kings, which is obviously a fairly favourable one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Is he in consideration in a lineup where you also have Derrick Rose?
The thing for me is that, like you said, shooting guard's fairly weak, and I'm looking at tomorrow and I don't like a lot of the options. And I think with Jimmy Butler, he's probably the safest shooting guard option. And even though it's the one you're going to have to spend up on, you still feel like against the Kings he's going to put up at least a 40. Could go for a 45 or a 50 if he has a big game. And when I'm looking at the other guys there, I just feel like there's not enough safe options, and I might have to play Jimmy Butler in my team because of that.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to come down to. It's like whether or not he's a good play, because he's a good play. It's going to be, do you think the plays at mid range, like mid price range, are good enough? But for me, Jimmy's in play. Do you have any thoughts?
No, yeah, it comes down to what you said and whether or not he can fit in your structure of your team.
Yeah, but do we put him in for now?
I'll put him in for now. Why not? I reckon definitely in play.
Just the fact he's a worthy play tomorrow gets him in for now. All right, so in the next tier we have a few players that have been just over the last 3 unbelievable. We have Dwayne Wade, Klay Thompson, Monte Ellis, Victor Oladipo, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. That's the kind of 6K to 7-6 range. So what do we think of the players in here?
Well, Dwayne Wade let a few people down today that were expecting big things from him. He's been on an absolute tear, made my running wild edition because he's running pretty hot lately. But today he had a good matchup against Houston. That's a nice matchup and struggled to perform. But I reckon disregard that. And that looks like an outlier to me over his last 6. And I reckon Dwayne Wade could be worth a look considering that the bounce he's taken with Whiteside missing games.
Yeah, I think his usage rate just makes him always worth a look. And if the matchup is there, it makes him more of a look. But then, do you get burned like you did against Houston? Because I mean, it's Houston. He should have put up a 40 banger at least.
Danny Green style.
Yes, but it just didn't happen. But I think we can probably expect a bounce back. But do you trust like a 30-something-year-old to do it in a back-to-back?
That's a good question. No, that is the issue, I guess.
Yeah.
Back-to-back game.
That's especially seeing as we've seen him put up big numbers and then we've seen the drop off. I mean, is that wear and tear? Is that fatigue? And then you're looking at a back-to-back and you think, oh, it could happen again. So, yeah, coming off a bad game and playing a back-to-back, I'm not sure I'm liking a bounce back from Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, that's basically the boat I'm in tomorrow.
A bit of disrespect for the Eastern Conference Player of the Week.
So also in this price range, another guy who's just been unbelievable recently, Klay Thompson. These last 3 games, like they're not crazy, but this one.
Yeah, that was Thursday too.
His live will go for that any given day.
Always good to play that one.
Yeah, Klay Thompson is probably one of the tournament locks. You would think.
8% owned last Thursday Monza, and the winner had him. Took out the $1,350. It was Big Buck Hunter that took out
that name.
Yeah, Big Buck Hunter that took out. He's everywhere actually. If you're on Moneyball, keep an eye out for him. I've seen him win another bank contest after that.
Him and a guy that I think must do it together. The Big Sicko.
A couple of those guys are associated.
The same lineup, and they always do well.
Yeah, they are switched on. We'll get them on the show one night, guys.
It might be tough. I'm pretty sure one of them might be in the States, but yeah.
Okay.
You can't do that.
Sorry?
Can't do that. Now, what, living or?
No idea. He tweeted it was nice to wake up to the result of the Thursday monster. So he's either in a time zone or he works the night shift, something like that. But yeah, pointless. We're going so far.
That's I like it though. We're talking about the Moneyball community, and that's what matters.
Monte Ellis is another play who's just been unreal recently. But yeah, I don't really trust him. Like, look at some of these. If he was in his prime, I feel like if Moneyball was up when Monte was at the Warriors, he would almost be a lock because he was the Warriors for a long time there. But now I think he's just kind of too risky. Victor Oladipo
definitely
against OKC. Do we have any thoughts there?
Not really. Obviously, he's coming off a good game there against a team that people don't usually have good games against.
Exactly.
So that's a pretty good one there. But obviously, 2 quiet ones against Boston, and it's kind of like we spoke about with the Spurs and the Hawks. But the Magic have the same situation where you're not sure who's going to play in certain games, and sometimes they'll play 35, and sometimes they'll get 25, and it just depends who's going well on the day. And if Victor Oladipo starts off slow, he might only see 25 minutes, and that's where you get burned.
Yeah, I think that's true. And KCP is a very situational play. You play him in a good matchup, and I'm not sure that that's tomorrow against Avery Bradley. So moving on to the next tier where there absolutely are plays galore tomorrow. Some might even say.
Oh yeah, this is where it always is in shooting guys.
So from 6K down through the 5K range, Rodney Hood, Will Barton, Avery Bradley, Joe Johnson, Kent Bazemore, Bradley Beal, J.R. Smith, JJ Redick. Now,
each of those
first
guys.
Up, yeah, every one of those, save maybe Joe Johnson, is worth a look. But even Joe's been in some decent form lately. But I'm going to throw it first to Trent. I know you're a big fan of this guy, JJ Redick.
Yeah,
worth a look at all.
I actually really like JJ Redick from a basketball perspective. He's one of my favourite shooting guards to watch, but I just never play him in a fantasy format because for me, he's a great scorer, he's a great shooter, and I know Woj was saying on his podcast that they're actually starting to call the Clippers Big Four now. They've added JJ Redick in there because he's been playing so well, but I think for me, he just relies too much on points to play in fantasy, and he doesn't get enough of those assists or rebounds. And
yeah, he relies on buckets, and that's not what you want to rely on in fantasy. You want your rebounds and assists, and ideally you want your steals and blocks as well. That's why people like the Greek Freak are just fantasy gems. But that is not JJ Redick at all. But if you think he's going to go for 30 points tomorrow, definitely back him in. But yeah, he's such a dangerous play. Those ones where you're not getting anything but buckets. But yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. Love him from a basketball perspective. Old JJ Shredick, I call him. He shreds. But yeah, I don't think he's in play tomorrow. One that I do, he was at the top of this price range at 5'7", Rodney Hood. Is this guy one of the fantasy Moneyball players of the year? He's got to be, right?
Yeah, he's been really good.
He's unbelievable, and his price is always kind of in that affordable range, and he's just been unbelievable. It's the shot, like he's one of the ones where he takes the shots. So many shots that he's worth fantasy just based on that, but he gets the rebounds, he gets some assists. I think he's a lock in my team tomorrow.
Yeah.
Against the Nuggets, who are not great against any position, but yeah, against shooting guards, 6th or 7th worst on the season, I think.
Yeah, I think with
even worse over the last 5.
We'd say Hood and Hayward, both of them are really good plays at the moment because the Jazz don't really have that point guard. So guys like Hood and Hayward are taking lots of shots and they're getting lots of ball handling duties. Like they chuck Rodney Hood in the pick and roll a lot, and he does like to shoot out of the pick and roll, which is why he's taking so many shots. And as long as they're struggling for that point guard, I think Hood's going to remain a really good player because he has a lot of responsibility on that team.
Yep. So do we like him enough to chuck him in just temporarily at least?
Temporarily, of course.
Yep.
Play keep going.
It's permanent for me anyway.
Yep.
Any other plays in the mid-range here? Avery Bradley, Will Barton's out against Utah. You don't want to play that one. So.
No, of course not.
So Avery Bradley's a good look.
Bradley's always a good look, I think.
Against the Pistons, who I think off the top of my head are decent against shooting guards. Last 5 they are stingy as hell.
So the funny thing about Bradley and Hood, when we first sort of were mentioning these two guys together, I think it was Hood was the tournament player, Bradley was the double up. But if you look at their recent form, Bradley's the tournament player and Hood's been the double up.
Yeah, you're right.
That's exactly what's been happening of late. So
pretty crazy after that big game. That was on a Thursday as well, and once again the Big Buck Hunter had him in his team. feel like it had to have Avery Bradley that day.
Against Denver, who Hood has tomorrow, just heads up.
Oh.
Yeah,
You're
so
right.
maybe Denver is just the ultimate go against for the Thursday monster. If
Rodney
Denver
Hood's
play on a Thursday.
over under Rodney Hood 40% owned tomorrow.
Over.
Over.
Last time I played him, he was 47, and that was in a less than Denver favourable matchup. So I think over 40% for Rodney Hood.
Good.
And I don't think he's a player you really need to fade at all. He's going to give you enough production, just have him to counteract everyone else who has him, really. So Avery Bradley, did we like him as much as Hood? I don't.
No, we don't.
Alright, Kent Bazemore is in play tomorrow against the Philadelphia 76ers.
Form's not great, I don't think. The matchup is...
Yeah, and we know he can perform. And the thing is, he's getting the opportunity, which is so weird to say about someone like Kent Bazemore. He's been in the league a couple of years now, but it's like only now he's like a decent player. It's like, what's happening? What year is it? 2018. But yeah, Kent Bazemore is worth a look, but that's a tournament play, like pure and simple.
Agree with that.
J.R. Smith, it's been in great form since Tyronn Lue, except for one bad one. Two bad ones, sorry, in here. But yeah, outside of that, he's playing a lot of minutes, worth a look.
Always worth a look in a tournament. Got crazy upside.
Yeah.
A couple of 30s in there, and you're laughing if you're going to win your team on one of those days.
Yeah, I think tomorrow he's in play. It's a good matchup, but like I said before, I think it's going to be a blowout. But if it's not, he could explode. I mean, that's exactly the kind of player J.R. Smith is, which I would say makes him a tournament play, not a double-up play. I wouldn't even nearly toss him in a double-up.
Not at all.
So let's just grind through the rest of these ones. We have Wes Matthews, Jeremy Lamb, who's likely out, Zach LaVine, Evan Fournier, Gary Harris. Who else is here that's worth a look? Danny Green's been in some good form, and Dion Waiters. Anyone around here that we like?
Don't play Wes Matthews.
Don't play Wes?
No.
No, he's been dreadful.
Yes, don't do that.
Yeah.
The day you say that, though, is the day he comes out.
Yeah, well, he started showing some form early, and everyone thought, well, maybe he's back.
Yeah, I jumped on him, and it did not work for me.
And then he's just been bad. So, what are our thoughts on Zach LaVine tomorrow? He's been in excellent form. Kevin Martin is questionable. So there's a chance that Martin is good to go. But do you trust Zach LaVine at 4-7?
I only play him if Kevin Martin's missing, I think. But even with him in the team, I think the Timberwolves are taking a direction where they're trying to get LaVine more minutes. Because they're trying to dish off Kevin Martin as well. They're looking for trade options for him. Obviously, LaVine's sort of the future of the team. It runs pretty well with the young team they have at the Timberwolves.
Yeah, I think the problem for me there is that you said 4-7. That's obviously been bumped up by the 36 and the 41 there.
He was at 4-2 before today.
Yeah, and then obviously he's kind of been at that 22-point mark, basically around 22 points, and that's where he should be. But then that's where you want him to be, back down near 4K again, not 4-7. So we probably wait for him to come back down to where he should be, which is lower fours, and then I think he'd be a better player.
I think he's around a 28 sort of average fantasy bloke, I think. When he gets the full potential that he's been getting, and we saw it earlier in the year and last year at stages as well. He was having games or stretches of games where he was managing 33 points a game, so he should always be considered without Kevin Martin, but it really depends if you can find a better option or not. Right now we have Rodney Hood, who I think is a better option than LaVine. It's tough to tell about Butler because it comes down to team structure.
Yeah, exactly. One play that is certainly in my team tomorrow, Dion Waiters.
Did you want to say him?
Certainly in your team.
Yeah, he's in my team.
Yeah, I think you have to play him the way he's been going lately.
Yeah, 3-9. He's... I don't think there are any 3-5 plays tomorrow. The closest you will get to min price that is actually worth a play is Dion Waiters. And he's been very serviceable. He's not been excellent, but he's been serviceable. If he puts up any of these last four scores at 3-9,
that's fine.
You'll be happy. And that's it's purely price here. And the matchup is like not excellent against Orlando, but it's not awful. It's something that's certainly worth consideration. And yeah, he is in my lineup tomorrow. Any disagreements?
No disagreements. Well, the value I find with Waiters tomorrow is the amount of minutes he's getting. So I'm looking over his last 4 games. He's had 37, 32, 34 and 42 minutes in all of those games, and incredible returns from a guy at that kind of price.
Yeah, I was going to say, as long as Robeson's out and he's starting there at shooting guard, you definitely have to consider him because he's been really consistent, playing a lot of minutes. So it's always worth a look.
Do we like him more than Butler and Hood?
I think that we've seen that he's going to be a pretty safe sort of 15 to 20 point mark. It's nothing that's going to make you play them just for the sake of it, but if we need to cash down, I think it's probably a better option then.
Okay, so we keep him out
I think
for
we
now?
just keep him in mind for now.
Especially because we went sort of mid-range at point guard, and
Yeah.
if we're going to mix it up a little bit, or get in Westbrook, I reckon we can go down to waiters.
Yeah, spot on. So that's basically shooting guard wrapped up. There is one more that could be worth looking a lot of tournament lineups. If you're going a lot of elites, it's Wayne Ellington for Brooklyn. He's been doing some work and min price, but it's a very unattractive option. It's like it's an ugly play, but it might be one that wins you a couple of tournaments. So yeah, Wayne Ellington is if you are trying to find, like, if you are scrimping and scraping for that last bit of salary. But yeah, that basically wraps up the shooting guard position. So moving on to small forward, and the two big dogs on campus. We have
Big dogs.
Yep, we have Kevin Durant and LeBron James. What are our thoughts there tomorrow?
Well, you're right. These are the two massive options, not just for like Moneyball in general. These guys are massive, not just the small forward position. So, coming down to form, Kevin Durant's in some great form. He's been playing some excellent ball, and alongside Westbrook, we've discussed it before. It's hard to tell which one of them is going to go bang, but it looks like they're both balancing it out recently together really well. So, Billy Donovan's finding ways to sort of keep one of them on the court at all times, and it's working wonders for these elite players for the Thunder. And I think Kevin Durant is a great selection.
Yeah, I mean, the form doesn't really lie. A bit of a downer last game, but that's nothing to turn you off a guy like Kevin Durant. He just gets the job done. And I think we can count on him to do it tomorrow against the Magic. Over the last 5, they're giving up the second most amount of points to small forwards. So the matchup is there. The talent is obviously there. The question with someone like Durant is, will the salary be there? So, yeah, he's certainly one to keep in mind. And I think he's a better play than LeBron tomorrow.
So I personally like LeBron better.
Really?
Because, like we said, that extra salary, the 900, and his form since that Cavs switch-up's been insane. The big three, we said they've been meshing, and it's been led by LeBron a lot. Even though these other guys are kind of lifting their game, I think LeBron's making sure it's happening now. And his last two scores have been in the 50s, which is massive. So if you get another one of those, you're going to be laughing for a guy that's priced at 10k to return 5 times value. That's huge.
Yeah, and Charlotte also another decent matchup. Like, this is a strange situation where the two highest priced at the position are both in great matchups. But yeah, it's going to come down to which one you trust more. And like I said, I believe in the blowout tomorrow in Charlotte.
I was about to say the same thing. Both of these games are potential blowouts. Not
I think
both of them are.
Less so. But yeah, Orlando's been relatively competitive, right?
We've seen what Durant...
One's at 13 for the Thunder game.
Yeah, that should be a blowout, but they're also putting up stats in a bunch of blowouts. They've been getting up their own individual numbers, so it's not really too much of an issue.
Because they're the players that are blowing the teams
out.
Exactly right.
The Thunder aren't. Durant and Westbrook are. So moving on to the 7 through 9k range. Paul George, Gordon Hayward, Rudy Gay, Kawhi Leonard, Danilo Gallinari. So outside of Danilo Gallinari, who is an elite play and an elite player and the greatest player in the National Basketball Association, is there anyone we like there tomorrow?
Let's kick this off actually by saying, do you like Gallinari tomorrow?
No.
Because he's against the Jazz. So there we go.
That pains me to say so much. If I like anyone from Denver against the Jazz, it's Gallo, but I don't trust him at all tomorrow.
Difficult to trust anyone against the Jazz. Although,
he's been excellent.
Karl Anthony Towns dominated them recently, right?
Destroyed them.
Yeah.
I had an interesting theory about that, but I wasn't quite sure where he lined up in that game, if it was at centre or not. I was thinking if he was playing on Rudy Gobert, I mean, you could expect Towns, who's a pretty good jump shooter, to have a good day against Gobert. And I know you guys faded him, but I think the Towns on Gobert isn't a bad matchup for Towns.
No, that makes sense, but I'm also a bit worried because they've been starting Googie Deng at the 5 over there, so I'm not sure where he did line up in that game. But that's a good point, and maybe that's something we could look to expose if there is sort of a stretch 5 playing against Rudy Gobert.
Yep.
When we get to that though, sorry. Just talking about the Jazz
Just a bit of
as an elite
basketball
defensive position. Is that why you wrote in your defense versus positions today? Did you?
Sorry?
Did you write about that?
I didn't write about the Jazz in there. They're not in it.
No.
They're not in the top 3, I don't think. But getting off the Jazz, there is a play there I like at small forward. I like Rudy Gay, not if Cousins is playing, but we spoke about the injuries for the Kings that could be out, and he had a massive game last time without Cousins. And if Rondo and both Cousins are out, even if one of them's out, that's a lot more usage for Rudy Gay. And coming off a 55-point game, he's got to be in some good form and he's got to be feeling good about himself.
Yeah, it's a neutral matchup against the Bulls, but I think this is the one where the Sacramento news is going to be huge.
Yep.
If Rudy Gay's out, if DeMarcus Cousins is out, huge for Rudy Gay. If Rondo is out as well, huge for Rudy Gay. He could have a monster. But the thing is, with that matchup, it's a 2:10 tip-off, so we won't know, for sure until after the Moneyball tournament commences.
Yep.
So that could be a lineup killer if you back in one of these guys without any solid state of mind news. So Rudy Gay, circumstantially, is a great play, but will the circumstance be there? We just don't know. But I think at 7-8 he could be worth a look even with DeMarcus playing. And DeMarcus, out of he and Rondo, is the one more likely to play.
Yeah.
So I think Rudy Gay certainly in play. In play enough, chuck him in now?
Yeah. I think small forward is a difficult day tomorrow, so I reckon you've got to put him in just for now.
Yeah. Alright, so moving on to the kind of 5k through 6k range. Some of the key players in that group are Andrew Wiggins, Jay Crowder, Chandler Parsons, Tobias Harris, Otto Porter, Robert Covington, Omri Caspi, and Evan Turner. So is there anyone there that you like? First point out, Robert Covington is looking like he's playing. He's had gastro, but it's looking like he's playing. Gastro. No one likes to hear about gastro.
Weird.
Yeah.
He's probably the only one I'm interested in as well, to be honest, because I'm not a huge fan of any of the other matchups there.
Yeah, you're right. Some of the matchups are the key concerns.
Yeah,
you look at Parsons, who's in great form, and he's got the Heat tomorrow. Covington's been in great form.
Yeah, he's been great. And the thing I love about him the most is his minutes. He just laps them up. I love it. But that's because he starts at shooting guard but gets a lot of his minutes at small forward. But so I think he's probably the best play. We don't like Chandler Parsons tomorrow, not against Miami.
No.
Don't mind him as a sneaky play. Not someone I'm going to be running with though.
I think he'll be fairly widely played as well for someone with a bad matchup, just purely based on recent form. I mean, there's that 20.9, but then you take that out, there's nothing under 32 over the last 7. So I think he's worth a look just based on his pure form, but the matchup is horrible.
Yeah, Justice Winslow might only be a rookie, but he's been playing some minutes and that guy can defend, so I'm scared for Chandler Parsons.
Pretty much.
Good fade?
Great
I think
fade.
it's a good fade.
Are we calling it the fade of the day, or is it too early? I reckon we need to run with the fade of the day.
I think so far it's the fade of the day, out of the positions we've covered.
Yeah, it's a tough matchup, and I guess what comes in the fate of the day is whether or not they're going to be popular, because we have to go against the public opinion, which can be costly at times, but from the circumstances that we can see, I think he is.
You can't just fade someone that's a bad play, can you? So
no, of course not. No.
Yeah, I think
fade.
Sure play.
Nicholas Batum. Fade.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I was going to say fade Kemba Walker.
Oh man,
wouldn't be the first time we faded Kemba Walker.
He's a regular fade on the show, I think.
No
respect.
Fade. No respect for Kemba.
Even though he's one of my favourite players. It's weird.
Yeah.
He's alright in clutch time.
So Tobias Harris, no. Otto Porter, no.
Nah.
I think there's just too many good options.
As you mentioned before, the blowout potential of some of these teams. Some of these teams that you just mentioned, Porter and Tobias Harris, are coming up against the potential blowout teams.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Thunder obviously have Tobias Harris, so that could be very dangerous. And Kevin Durant is not underrated as a defender, just forgotten about because his offense is so A+.
Yeah.
So gone are the days of Kid Gilchrist.
I was
at
about to
price.
mention that. Yep, he's now 4'7", a huge $800 salary jump there for him. And against Cleveland tomorrow, I think we avoid him like the plague. Agree? Disagree?
I really loved him at that low salary. I probably would have played him again, even against Cleveland.
At 3.9, yes.
At 3.9, yes. The matchup makes it really difficult to play him, even after that 38-point game he had.
Yeah, I think it's only the matchup here that's turning me off him. 4.7 is still too low for him.
Yep.
But against Cleveland, no. Not when you have like good players like Rudy Gay and another one that we're coming up to very shortly. So just hovering over these, nothing really there. Stanley Johnson has been good. Do we like him again? We like him a lot at the start of the season.
I loved him at the start of the season.
Yeah, he's getting some of his minutes back and he's doing a bit of work, but I don't think you really trust him because there's someone starting at his same price and I like that as well. So
yeah, just even without the scoring, without looking at the scoring, you know he's a tournament player because he's a guy that really relies heavily upon shooting to get his points. Yeah. If he's not scoring the buckets that he needs, he's in a lot of trouble. So back him in a tournament every now and again, but I definitely can't play him in a double up anymore.
So next guy up, and he's in my lineup tomorrow, is Harrison Barnes for the Golden State Warriors. He has one of the best matchups at the small forward position in the Washington Wizards. They've been pretty dreadful all season long. And he's at 4-1. For when you get a starting player at 4-1, he's worth a look. And he's obviously had his injury problems and everything, but he's recently said that he feels like he's playing his way back into form. And that's all the coercion I need. If he says it, I'm happy.
Playing about 33 minutes over his last 2 games, which is a great sign. And if he plays 33 minutes against one of the worst small forward defences in the league, you're thinking he's going to put up a good score.
I think he'll be in the Rodney Hood kind of ownership percentage tomorrow, and I think it's very warranted.
Yeah, he hasn't been lighting the world on fire or anything yet. Just been steadily playing his game. But
at 4-1, you don't have to, though. Right?
Exactly. No, but I'm saying he can do so much more than what he has been doing. And this is just a result of him coming back from his injury. So once he returns to health, and it's going to be like a click of the fingers when it happens, you expect some 30-point games from him.
Yeah, and I'm backing him in for that tomorrow. I think 30...
Oh, can we have a play of the day yet as well? He's just gone from fade to play.
I think at least a 25 from Harrison tomorrow.
So he's definitely
I'd love a 30.
Definitely looking at 6 times value, you think.
So I think he's one of the safer plays of the day, both double up and tournament. Agree, disagree?
Agree.
Chuck him in for now, at least?
Definitely.
Yep.
Barnesy,
yeah, welcome to the team. So that basically...
Just got a fun fact about Paul Pierce, who was on the screen then. I want to throw in a random NBA fact. So Paul Pierce has had just 3 scoreless games in his career before this season. This season he's had 8.
Oh,
wow, 8.
So
I don't think anyone should ever hold that stat against him.
No, you can't, obviously.
No way. He's a Hall of Famer.
No, I'm not.
Whining
that's
now.
not against him. It's just more sort of
fun
describing
fact,
the condition at the Clippers right now. It's tough for him.
He's old.
Yeah, that's all it is. He's old. It happens to everyone.
If he was playing 30 minutes,
if LeBron plays till he's 48,
he wouldn't be scoreless.
He'd be scoreless.
If LeBron plays till he's 48, he'd be scoreless. But that's probably...
Gee, that's doubtful too.
Yeah, that's even too early. 48 is a little bit early for LeBron, I think.
Well, you heard the rumours of Jordan could tear it up.
Turn back and return at 50, average 20 a game.
Not a shot.
He wasn't fit when he returned in his 40s.
He couldn't play today. He'd go and try and defend someone and immediately get fouled because he'd still be handshaking them.
That's true.
Alright, so moving on to the power forward position before we go too far off topic.
Hand checks and...
Right, no Hazonia, by the way.
We can talk about him if you want.
No, there's nothing really to say. I just thought you might bring it up because he's starting to get a couple more minutes for the Magic.
Yeah, but I don't think he's fantasy relevant at all. Not even nearly, right? Do you disagree with him?
There is.
At 3.5, you don't need a whole lot.
You need more than 13 or 11 here. He's fallen 13.9. I think. I don't.
It's only bumped up by one good game.
I don't want to bank on a 23.1 when it's been over single digits.
Yeah, that's when the minutes have increased though. So the minutes increase has only been the last 2 games. 29 minutes in the last one. 11.9 is obviously not enough. But he's had 33 minutes in that game.
I think I love him. I love him as a player, and I'm going to encourage everyone else to play him so that when I don't, I look better.
Oh,
He's not worth
no, he's not. He's played not even in the top 10 plays small forward. But
Not in the
I
top
just want to
20
talk about
at
Super
small
Mario.
forward.
Oh, debatable about top 20 there, but
Not nearly. So go and argue for him if you like. But, yeah,
there's nothing to argue. I'm saying there's minutes of increase. That's all I want to point it out to you. I'm not saying
Scott
playing.
Skiles though. Who
No, you're
knows
right.
what
You don't
he'll be
know.
playing Depot tomorrow? You could give him 5 minutes. I mean, I don't trust anyone there except for Peyton on a good matchup really, and Vooch because Vooch is Vooch. So do you want to put him in?
No, he's not going in the team.
Alright.
He's just worth a mention.
All right.
And I mentioned him, so I'm happy.
He's got his mentioning.
All right. So
All I want to do is mention him.
power forwards. We have the elite. There's one, probably the elite fantasy player of recent times. DeMarcus Cousins, injury. Perhaps he's out, perhaps he's not. We won't know until around midday, which sucks. So if you play DeMarcus tomorrow, be prepared to be disappointed. I'm not saying you will be, but there's a chance.
I think it's a great idea to play him in a tournament in that situation.
Yep.
Especially like how they've got the $2 or $5 tournament run around. That'd be a great play because people will be scared of that. And
If he gets like 1% ownership like,
Yeah,
in a tournament
No.
because of the injury news and he plays,
Yep.
not only plays in a good matchup. He's got the pulls, right?
Really good matchup.
And I've seen that happen many a time. A couple of years ago when I was playing FanDuel pretty heavily and stuff, the same situation happened with Anthony Davis. Rumoured to be out, no one played him, and then goes bang. And carries every team, and it's happened. I've seen it happen with Westbrook, Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins in that same tier.
Yeah.
If he comes out and puts up a 60-point, 70-point game,
And you're the only one that played him.
That's
like,
huge.
Thanks for coming.
He's in my lineup pending late news, but I don't even know if I'll get the late news. So yeah, if we don't have news before tip-off, it'll take a brave man to start him.
Mm-hmm.
But he did practice mildly today, and like apparently he was looking happy while he was
Looking happy?
Looking happy.
Is
so,
that-
yeah.
is
That's rare.
Is that an
so-
exact quote or?
I'll try to find it, but yeah, like you say, that's rare. I also do have a question for you, Trent. Is he a power forward or a centre?
I think he plays more like a power forward.
Earlier in his career, I thought the same thing, power forward, but I'm slowly being like coerced. He's just straight up centre now. He's got the face-up skills of a power forward.
I think his face-up game, that's the biggest part of his game. I think he scores he averages like 8 drives to the hoop a game. So I think his face-up game and the fact that he's hitting threes these days kind of makes him a little bit more of a power forward. But he is a brute down low, so he can play both positions, whichever he wants to do. That's how good he is. So
I say happy. The term was good spirits. He appeared in good spirits at practice.
That's good.
That
That's good
means
signs.
happy.
That's
maybe
good. No, you're right.
get a tech foul.
Good signs. I was just curious.
Alright,
That's
so
all.
are we going to be brave and put him in our double up lineup?
No, not for a double up.
Alright.
You
He's
can't.
in my double
You can't
up.
double up.
If he's out though, I do like Pau Gasol as well.
Alright. Yeah, he's
Plenty
in
of
the
options
next,
at power forward.
Yeah, from the 7K through 9K range, we have Anthony Davis, Pau Gasol, Paul Millsap, Draymond Green, Chris Bosh, Kevin Love, and Blake Griffin, who's out for goodness knows.
All of those guys could be played.
Yep, everyone.
Like-
You look at the matchups even just across the board.
You can't argue against any.
Bar Davis's matchup, they're all good. Sacramento, Philly, Washington, Dallas is surprisingly good. And Charlotte, like, they're good matchups. It's just take your pick at which one you play.
I really like Draymond's matchup because he's a guy that grabs rebounds and runs fast breaks, and he loves fast games. So against the Wizards, and obviously both those teams are pretty fast, and he'll be probably in triple-double territory again. I'm going to call it early. I think that he's very likely to grab 10 boards, and when he's running those fast breaks, he's very likely to get 10 assists. So I think Draymond's going to have another big one tomorrow in this matchup. I think I really like this one for him.
And he has had a lot of big ones.
You're right about that, Trent, because I remember I looked into it not long ago, how he goes in a slower matchup, and I noticed how he really struggles against like teams like the Spurs, teams like that. So obviously more suited to a fast-paced game, which this is. I'm pretty excited for Draymond Green's potential tomorrow.
Alright, so we're putting him in, because you two seem pretty keen.
I wasn't before Trent just mentioned it, but it clicked, and I know he does perform in those fast-paced games. I reckon he's difficult. I've never played him once this year.
I always like to play Green in fast-paced matchups, and I think his price was at 9.4 or 9.5 at one stage, and I was getting a little bit scared to play him then, but at 8.9 it's fairly reasonable, and I think you can expect a 45 from him, at least a 40.
Ooh.
Alright, put it in.
If you're expecting at least value, I'm locking him in, mate.
Yeah, I'm thinking 40.
Jeez, you're expecting at least. Alright then, Chris Bosch, Kevin Love, worth a look. Kevin's been unreal since the Blatt evacuation.
Trying to bring up his game log for the people at home.
Let's do it.
Look at that.
Yeah, he's been excellent. And even at 7.6, he was lower than that before this run. I think 7.1 or somewhere thereabouts. But yeah, he was... he's only recently gone up, and I don't think he's gone up enough, to be perfectly frank. Like, he's still putting up value over the last 4 at his current salary. I think he's worth a look, even though I think Charlotte are going to get blown out. So I'm going to keep throwing that out, because when it happens, I want to be...
So everyone will remember sort of Minnesota, Kevin Love was sort of best around the elbow, played really well there, facilitating from the high post, and that's been the big complaint, that he hasn't been getting enough elbow touches, and they the stats have come out now, and in the games with Blatt he was averaging 3 elbow touches per game, and ever since I think he's getting 6.5, so he's getting double as many touches in the places that he likes it, which means more scoring opportunities for him, and it means more assist opportunities. So as long as he continues to be used in the offense where he's going to thrive, I think that he's a great player at his price.
I think they're using him as an individual player now. They're using him as himself.
Yeah,
rather than just an extension.
And they're playing him with that bench unit more, so we can have that usage rate.
So I think he's in play, but do you guys like him more than Draymond? No, I think you guys are pretty sold on Draymond, right?
It's tough because Kevin Love's just as good. Yeah, both are good.
And I think if you look,
I've got a couple others to mention later.
Oh, they're right.
We'll trade them in.
We'll put them in, but we'll just have to talk about them. All right, next here we'll go 6 through 5-5. Sorry, like 7 down to 5-5. We have Dirk Nowitzki, Nerlens Noel, Thaddeus Young, Ryan Anderson, Kenneth Faried, LaMarcus Aldridge, Jared Sullinger, Serge Ibaka, and Marvin Williams. I will start this one off with LaMarcus Aldridge, because we had a tweet in recently from M. Smith, a fan of internet, fan of us. So he asks, LaMarcus Aldridge a good play tomorrow? And the answer to that is yes. Tim Duncan is out, so he will be starting at 10 on LaMarcus Aldridge in all likeliness.
And
he's at 6'5". He's been in great form. I think just based on that, he's worth a look at that.
And
There's
then
a few letdowns, but
you have a look at the matchup and see what the Pelicans have been doing against the centre in the last 5 games, and then it's pretty much sold, you'd think.
It's an abomination that centre defense recently. I think it dropped after last one, but before last game, it was 63.5.
Yeah, I was going to say it was 60 the last time I saw.
It was absurd. Where are we now? Where are we? 57 now, so it's come down. But
You've obviously had a good game.
Yeah, that was just crazy.
Yeah, 60 last time I saw, that's ridiculous. So if you could expect 60 fantasy points there, you'd be feeling pretty good about it.
The question is, does that game become a blowout? Spurs versus Pels? Probably.
Yeah.
And so how many of these 60-odd centre points go to Boban?
That's interesting.
Unleash Boban.
Oh my god, I'm scared.
Ooh. Yeah, so it's LaMarcus or Boban. Who gets the look there? But even in blowouts, Pop doesn't like Boban. He's just anti-fun. Like, going against his interviews, when it comes to actually playing Boban, he's just anti-fun. You gotta release him. He's been unreal. His per 36 stats is something like 25 points, 16 rebounds.
He's got an insane PR.
Freak.
Yeah.
Just want to point out before we leave Aldridge, another guy that performed last Thursday in the Thursday Monster, he put up a 42.5. And once again, Big Buck Hunter had him in his team.
Yeah, so
this Big Buck Hunter's going to be so happy for all the mentions.
I've tagged him on Twitter as well, mate, so...
Jeez. Alright, so in this price range, did we like anyone else? Ryan Anderson, even with Anthony Davis in, has been excellent. Bar that last one. But yeah, this one was with AD. That one not. But yeah, he's been good and worth a look at 6'5", I think. Just probably not against the Spurs. But as a player, if you think he can do what Aaron Gordon did and defy the matchup, then I think he's worth a look. Because somehow Aaron Gordon was great against the Spurs, but we'll get to that later. Kenneth Faried against Utah, you don't want to touch. Serge Ibaka's too up and down as a fantasy player.
Oh, yeah.
Marvin Williams is just low-key mid-range player of the year, right? He's been excellent, yeah.
He's would have to fight Rodney Hood for that.
That's true. But yeah, he's all these are contrarian plays. They're not the safe ones like your Kevin Love's, your Draymond Green's good in the trend. If you think a 9K player is a certainty for value. Taj Gibson, do we like him? He's got the starting gig now with Mirotic. What did he have? He had an appendectomy and now he's got something else. Like Mirotic is just having a nightmare of a week.
You got something else, did he?
Yeah, there's something
else. Because I knew he was
going
out to
on.
all, so he must be out for more now.
Yeah, it's more than that. I'll quickly try to find it. But yeah, do we like Taj at all? He's been pretty good.
I think if you go look at Taj, you're better off just going with Derek Favors, I think. I mean, he's been pretty good. But Derek Favors, I think, is probably the best player.
I was about to say, like, I'm looking at the guy below him and...
Yeah, I was about to get to him. I was deliberately leaving him till last. So Derek Favors, is he a lock?
I think so.
I'm locking him in.
Locking him in as player of the day against the Nuggets, who are not great against power forward.
It's tough to say player of the day, but because we've got a couple of others that are in the player of the day contention. But I would confidently.
I mean, I like Favors a lot.
Put him in anyone's team.
I think he's my player of the day for sure.
Yep.
If we just quickly get this up.
So obviously we know that he's attempting to overcome his back injury. He's returning to full health. It came out right that his back injury was due to him sleeping on his stomach on a soft mattress. You did hear that?
Yeah.
So, interesting that he's suffered a massive injury. This is like a job, right? Professional sportsman. And suffered an injury by the way he was sleeping.
Another fun one on that. Former Utah center, Al Jefferson, spent $23,000 on his mattress when he was playing for Utah. $23,000
worth it though, I guess.
On a mattress.
Alright. If you're earning that much money, you spend a third of your life on your bed, man.
That's true.
Apparently, Dev.
Here we go. Nikola Mirotic, hematoma removal.
What is that?
I think hematoma is like a build-up of blood or something.
Alright, we're about to YouTube hematoma surgery.
God. Not happening. But yeah, so Derek Favors, he's in, right?
Yeah, another fun fact about Derek Favors. Jazz plus 45 net rating with him back in the team.
This is just the Derek Favors fun fact hour.
Well, apparently
fun fact? No.
Apparently Derek Favors sleeping on his stomach, so...
Yeah.
No, I thought I'd throw that in. Why not talk a little bit about these guys that we're backing in?
Backing him in over Love or Dre?
Jeez.
To be honest, I am big on Dre and I'm thinking he's going to go in the 40s, but I'd probably
Kevin
prefer
Love's safer.
Love. Yeah.
So we're keeping Love?
Just because I would expect similar scores from those. I think Draymond will score a little bit more, but he's that much more expensive.
You're right, yeah. I think Kevin Love is safer for sure.
So we were keeping
Kevin
Love actually and getting rid of 50 Shades of Grey. Catch you later.
50 Shades of Grey?
50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, I thought you said... I thought it was a...
No, man.
Alright, sorry.
Green Machine.
Alright, so...
Because could have been 50 Shades of Green as well, maybe, but... It was a bit of everything.
So next here, we have 3 plays in the next 4 that are just on fire. Tristan Thompson against Charlotte. Decent matchup. He's been in great form. And any other day, I think it would be worth a look at this price range. Same goes for Jeremy Grant against Atlanta. He's been in good form, good price range, good matchup. But can you not play Aaron Gordon right now? He's been unbelievable.
Yeah, he's up and about.
We said last stream, this guy is he's gonna break out, and you gotta play him when he does. Then he broke out.
Yep.
And then he almost broke out again against the Spurs. Like, can you not play this dude?
He's on. He's got so much confidence right now that
he's got so many
confidence
right
equals production as well. Like if you're coming out there knowing what you can do against good teams like the Spurs, you can do it any night.
And he's getting the minutes. That's the huge thing. Until Scott Skiles has like a mood change and he wants to move him back to the bench, I think Aaron Gordon is one of the best power forward players. Even with these, I think I like him more than Kevin Love. Derek Favours has to be mine.
Yeah, Favours and Gordon for locks at power forward if you're looking for bargains.
Yeah, but we're not at this point.
No, we're really not. Yeah. It's too much value with 11 games.
One issue I think I have with Gordon though is that the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're a really good rebounding team, and his points have been coming big time off rebounds. Only like he had 14 and 16 in the last two, and Oklahoma is one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the league, and they're also one of the best defensive rebounding teams. So if he doesn't get 15 rebounds and he only gets closer to 9, does he put up the 30 points that he's been putting up?
No, but I think he puts up 25.
I think he's very I think he's very likely to put up 25.
Yeah, I think he's almost as good of a lock for 5 times value as you can get, which makes him a great double-up player. But
yeah, it's a better double-up player.
We have the salary right now to avoid putting him in. So let's move on to the centre position for now.
It's kind of sad that he's not in the team.
Yeah,
we can't do much about it.
He might get there.
Yeah.
We will have salary left after centre because I'm pretty sure the most expensive.
Jeremy Grant also, you covered him quickly, but possibly the most slept-on player in Moneyball.
It's a wide variety of stats as well.
If only here, like in the game log, it also gave you ownership percentages for each of these games.
That'd be
Because
great,
I'd love to
wouldn't it?
see his.
Because I don't see him often getting played at all, and last Thursday he went off as well. Another guy that performs on Thursdays, 39.6.
But with Jalil Okafor is moving back into the starting lineup tomorrow, so
True,
that might affect his production.
Yep.
But at 4'6", he's a very good look, but I don't think he's as good as Aaron Gordon at 4'6".
No, not at all, and especially against Atlanta. I think when you're going to play Jeremy Grant is against the slower teams. Grant's a very athletic sort of, or a 21-year-old dude. He's very athletic and can beat up on those slower teams.
Alright, before we move on to centre, one player who just has defied Father Time for some reason over the last
Christmas.
2 weeks. Amari Stoudemire. This is another case of just what year is it? He's been unbelievable over the last 3. And that's with Hassan out, he's getting the starting gig. But can you trust him to keep this up? I mean, he's over the hill, unquestionably. He's not an all-star anymore. But can you trust him to do at least this? Because if you can, at 3'5", he's got to be in your team, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think you look at the stats here, and a lot of it just comes down to how hard he's playing. And 10 rebounds, 12 rebounds. He's putting in a lot of effort, and he's been finishing pretty athletically for an old guy. And he's looking really good.
Well, that's the thing. We never really got to see him go downhill as a player because he was an all-star. Then he went to the Knicks as an all-star. Then he missed like the better part of 2 seasons when he started at the Knicks. So we never got to see him drop off. It's just like when he came back, he just didn't seem as good.
Yeah.
But now, somehow, he's looking excellent. And the Heat might just have themselves one of the best bench players in the league once Hassan comes back.
Yeah, well, Heat fans are loving him right now.
So that should be. He's been just a revelation recently. But yeah, I don't think we can get him in right now, just considering we have max salary left.
And even, I'm not super confident with Jimmy Butler paying up for him because there's other options around, so we've got a lot of fiddling around to do.
A lot. So at the centre position, top 5 players are Andre Drummond, Karl Anthony Towns, DeAndre Jordan, Brook Lopez, and Nikola Vucevic. I'm going to let Trent open this one up with Karl Anthony Towns because we know he's got a little something for him.
Definitely do, and I do believe that the Clippers have been pretty bad against centres lately, which is one thing that looks good for Towns. And spoke about Rudy Gobert being that in the paint defender, the shot blocker. We know that DeAndre Jordan's that kind of player as well, and he doesn't like to step out, but one guy that does like to step out is Karl Towns. And even if he's playing at power forward with Jing at centre, you've probably got him on Paul Pierce or Luke Mbah-a-Moute, and really, I think he's going to go to Towns on those guys, so I think he's a good option if he's playing pair for centre.
I thought you were going to put that in.
Yeah, I had to chuck it in there.
He was in my team before my final lineup.
Yep.
So I absolutely agree with him as a good player.
I like him especially so after that quiet game he had as well, just with the 30.8 there. That means it scares off a couple of players, and picking him again and ownership levels will be slightly down.
Yeah, so if he does, where is it? If he does this...
Look at that run.
Oh, yeah.
If he does that in a bad matchup, what does he do in a great matchup tomorrow against the Clippers? They're giving up 55.4 over the last 10 to centers, which is second worst in the league. So
We'd love to see another career night.
you can only have one. If he has on the
If
last
you
one,
keep
it's not a
having it,
career
you
night
keep
anymore.
having it.
But yeah, he's
Gradually increase.
he could
Exactly.
he could be an excellent play tomorrow if you're spending up at centre. And this is the first question of the night. So we like this lineup as is, right? Do we just chuck Towns in? Fits in almost perfectly.
And
I mean, there's
I
ways to
would
fit
be
it.
so happy with that lineup tomorrow, but I feel like we can tinker it a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Yeah, there's a
so
few
to
options
tinker
that I
down.
already
To
know
start
that I
with,
like
we will
there.
finish off the centre position. So did we like DeAndre, Jordan, Brook Lopez, or Nikola Vucevic? Brook Lopez has been on a tear.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get his stats up real quick.
Not
yeah.
bad.
59.
Pretty good.
Come on. And he's been doing some of the things that he never really did well. Well, rebounding. He was never a good rebounder, but he had a streak there of 4 over 10. Which
Back
is,
to the normal against Drummond, though.
back to standard against an actual good rebounder. Yeah, who was he against here? Like, probably a Sheik,
Yeah.
Zaza, and not Hassan.
Stoudemire,
Yeah,
so.
Studesy. Like, but I like him. I trust him enough, but not on a day where there are better options, which is tomorrow.
Yeah.
So moving down the list to the kind of like semi high price ones. Al Horford, Marcin Gortat, Rudy Gobert, Zaza Pachulia, and Jaleel Okafor. Do we have any positives, negatives on those lads?
I like the Gobzilla.
Gobstop.
Good matchup.
Go every time. Yeah, he's been excellent as well. I think Jake would always back him in a couple of weeks ago when he was at an even lower price than this. He's still there. You like him tomorrow?
Yeah, definitely. Like he's proving some consistency as well lately as well. Over his last 9-10 games, you'll be happy with any of those scores. Really, even the 23s, it's a pretty good floor.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that 12 rebounds in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
It looks like it's just really consistent. It looks like he's found sort of a level of play that he can sustain. And I mean, he put up 35 last game with no blocks, and he's usually going to put up 2 or 3 blocks a game.
Yep.
So that could have easily been a 40 banger. So
Oh yeah,
that would have been a nice return.
This one with
maybe.
no blocks for a long time.
How much should we
Yeah.
like him? Like with Favors back, it looks to have increased his potential as well.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think.
Yeah.
But his fantasy production's been great. So I think that he's definitely worth a good look.
I think just purely based on value, he's worth a look.
Yep.
Do we like him more than Towns? Because at this point, salary doesn't matter, but do we like him as a pure play more than Towns?
I feel like he's safer than Towns, but Towns has got so much more upside.
Right, like
But I think
We got to make the
if
call,
you had the
guys.
cash, I'd pick Carl Anthony Towns.
We have the cash.
Yeah, so let's pick Carl Anthony Towns
So we'll leave
for
him
now.
for now. Yep.
We can go down in the future if we need to.
So moving on. Best young player in the game, Nikola Jokic.
Oh,
yeah, we go.
Throw it out. Oh well, we've got to have a look at this.
Hey, what
Oh,
happens?
he's fantastic.
What happens to
Don't get me
NBA Thursday, or is that tomorrow's for
tomorrow.
stream?
That
Yeah.
would be tomorrow.
Right.
Not the Thursday monster then.
No.
No.
So yeah, he's been unbelievable, and his price is almost reflecting it. I think we look at these scores where he's over 35, 5 out of the last 6 games. I don't think that's what we should expect, but I think we can pretty easily expect a 25. So
He
at
can
his
play.
price, yeah, he's certainly worth a look if you are kind of going at this price level for centres, because it is a bit of a drop off between him and between Gobert and Nikola Jokic. And I think Jokic is a good play for his price, along with 3 of the next names that I'm about to say. Gorgie Jam, yes or no?
Not as good as others.
Well, he's the centre tomorrow
Yep.
in Towns' position. So we talked about the centre matchup for the Clippers. Both of those guys are going to reap the rewards there, I think so. Either of those guys are good plays.
Miles Turner.
Fantastic play. His price has gone up, which makes him less desirable, but he's still putting us on good
He's
numbers.
still in great form.
Yeah, his price actually only went up 300 in the most recent.
The scoring there is
Yeah.
similar to how Gobert's been scoring.
And Turner will be starting at power forward tomorrow.
Yeah.
With Jordan Hill starting at centre. But yeah, both of those guys are worth looking. Miles Turner, he's been in excellent form, and it looks like even once Mahinmi comes back, he's not going anywhere, Turner. He's going to get all the minutes he can take.
How
Larry
good
Bird loves him.
are all these big men from this draft? Like, you got Jokic, and you got Towns and Okafor, and then you got Turner, and oh my god, there's so many good
Bobby
big men.
Portis.
You got Bobby Portis. There's so many good big men. Yeah. It's one of the best drafts in a long time.
Stacked draft.
Yep. And Enes Kanter. Do we have any thoughts on him? He's been good lately.
He's hard to read, this guy.
So hard. He's a max contract player playing off the bench. And when he actually gets his good run, he's sensational, really.
Well, there's that over-under of, was it 13 the line there? For the OKC game? So if you're thinking it's going to be a blowout, I mean, you always consider Canner in those games.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, that's a good point, actually. Although, that 38 against the Rockets, I watched that full game, and he just sneakily added to his points the whole game. Just don't really notice him
A lot
out
of
there.
offensive boards and sneaky little putbacks. He can play.
Yeah, I think he's in consideration if you're going in that price range. But if you are, like the 5K through to like 5.5, you've got such a hard choice between Jokic, Jeng,
Wish we had more centres.
Yeah.
Well, we wrote off Amir Johnson last time, so we're going to do it again here, and he
all right.
bang.
We'll let you talk about
another Thursday monster shout out.
I just don't want to talk about him as much as I want to just point out that he seems to go bang when we least expect it.
And on Thursdays.
And it's every Thursday.
Playing every Thursday.
Play him every Thursday. Like, you might as well. We brought it up last time, and we said, no, he can't do it. Because
it actually... Is that 2 Thursdays? So then you got the 14th thing. That's crazy.
Yeah, so on Thursday, Amir Johnson goes bang. Don't know why.
Not the second Thursday, but the third.
Don't know if he had a Thursday game in that one, though. Did he have a Thursday? Yeah, he did.
The one before that was a shocker.
So we'll disregard that for narrative.
2 out of 3 already.
Yeah, the one before that.
That's insane.
47.6.
Love Thursdays.
Amir Johnson, if you are superstitious, is that fair to say?
That's about it.
Yeah.
If you want to roll the dice and have no thought whatsoever going to your team, other than you might as well go play Tazkino. No.
Yeah. So we'll get that lineup back in a second. But yeah, so moving on.
I like this actually. We can work from scratch a little bit, maybe.
I think we can work that, I think. The next one's down that are worth a look.
Oh, Al Jefferson's price falling. How we mentioned guys price falling when they're out.
Jordan Hill, Willie Cauley-Stein, and Boban Marjanovic. And Spencer Hawes, we'll chuck him in as well. Because Charlotte could be injury depleted, which means Spencer will have to do a lot because someone's going to have to. So what do we think of that kind of range? What do you think of Willie tomorrow?
If Cousins is out, definitely a good play because he's going to see 30 to 35 minutes. I think he did fairly okay in his last game. I don't know if he actually played well, but he played a lot of minutes. So, 10 rebounds there. He didn't quite put up the fantasy production, but he did play a lot. And but with Cousins in, I noticed the last 2 games, I spoke about how well their defense had been with Willie playing 30 minutes per game, and that 10 and 10.7, he only played 14 minutes per game. So I'm not sure why Carl, who's been complaining about the defense, has gone away from Willie, who seemed to be the fix for everything. But he wasn't getting minutes when DeMarcus was in. So if DeMarcus plays, probably not an option at all, Willie Cauley-Stein.
It's a bit strange coaching there from George Carl.
So the play for me at centre tomorrow is Jordan Hill. He's starting alongside... what's his name? Miles Turner.
That's him.
And over the last two, he's been excellent, and he's played above 35 minutes. I mean, it's all there for a fantasy perspective. Yeah. Obviously, we aren't going to count on 6 blocks from him every game, but I think he's kind of providing a pretty high floor there. Now that he's getting all the minutes he can handle at centre.
Just notice, we've talked about Denver being the most blocked team in the NBA, right?
6.
Yeah, and it happened. Crazy. Like, if you can put that together. Yeah.
How's it happen?
What's on the Jordan Hill getting 6 blocks, and the other most on that screen is 2.
Reed grabs a lot of offensive rebounds, and he's not that tall, so he puts it back. Yeah. You've got to think it's going to be something to do with him. Like, he's the one that I can see getting blocked.
Got to start paying attention to centers playing against the Nuggets a bit more often, I think.
So who's that tomorrow? Rudy Gobert.
Well, we talked about blocks.
Don't.
All right.
So 10 blocks, triple-double with blocks tomorrow.
Now we've got to build our team back up. And now that this has happened, we will shout out another tweet that we got from Fan of Internet, or M. Smith. He asked, should George Hill get a look, being fairly solid lately because he missed the start of the stream?
I think he should.
Yes, Trent covered that one, and we came to the conclusion that he should. He gets the minutes, and he's had like some good production, enough production, really. Like, even the 20's not a huge disappointment.
Basically like a 4 times floor, and then obviously you're looking at almost 8, I guess there. Yeah, almost 8, so that's a pretty good return.
Yeah, so he is worth a look, but it's going to come down to whether or not he fits into your lineup, because there's a really good elite play in Russell Westbrook, and there's a lot of really good 5k players, whether it's Jeremy Lin, Derrick Rose, or if you trust Elfrid Payton or Emmanuel Mudiay. There's a lot going on at point guard tomorrow, and we have to make that choice ourselves now. So, were we backing in Russell Westbrook?
Jeez.
I am. My vote is yes. You guys have to vote as well.
Depends on the salary.
If we're not voting, then I'll just make my lineup now.
To be honest, I probably would rather play Russell Westbrook than go with a Derrick Rose and Kyrie Irving tandem.
Right.
I just feel like
I don't mind that tandem, but
I wouldn't like to trust both of those guys on the same day.
It comes down to me, where else would you like to pay up for? I think Westbrook is probably the best option to pay for.
Yep. So if now that we have to build it back up, who are the certainties? There's Derek Favors, right?
Derek Favors.
Favors.
And small forward.
Just where you called out your player of the day.
I had Harrison.
Barnes.
I had Harrison as mine.
Good play,
And also at shooting, we had Rodney Hood, who seemed like a lock as well.
Lock in Rodney. Alright.
I like that. Let's sort of
base.
Yeah.
A lot of salary to move around with. So
do we start with centre?
Go there.
If you want, go there.
He's gonna get 10 blocks. He's gonna get 10 blocks against the Nuggets.
That block. It's talked me into it a little bit. I don't know what were you leaning Carl, Anthony?
I'm playing Jordan Hill.
You're playing Jordan Hill.
Which
is a great
interesting one.
Play. So, do we look much into the matchup
but
there?
If Cousins is out, I'm playing Gobert. But if he's playing, I'm playing Hill.
Yep.
But the Nuggets get blocked 3.1 times per game against a normal person, so
that's on the season. Check last 10 games. It's absurd. And it's ridiculous. No, you have to click on there. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So the last 10 games
it's come down to
4.6.
Yeah,
so that's 4.6. That's in 10 games. That's 46 blocks in 10 games.
But you'd think the Nuggets aren't going to even try and put shots up on Rudy Gobert.
They're going to have to.
Well, layups are all that Will Barton does. So if you count on him taking...
You've got Moody, you've got Kenneth Reed. Like, none of those guys can shoot. That's probably why they get blocked so much.
Oh, you're really talking me into Amir Johnson, the Thursday Monster King. Nah.
I like Towns, so I'll be happy with that one.
I'm Hill or Gobert. That's my calls.
I'm fine with either of them too.
Well, we have cash right now, so we'll go Gobert.
If we need cash, we'll go down the Hill. Which I think it's hard not to put Hill in your team.
Alright,
I don't like Jordan Hill as a player, so I'm happy.
The remaining shooting guard options, who did we like here? Originally, we had in Jimmy Butler. I'm playing him tomorrow, but who are we going with for this lineup?
The question is, do we pay up for a small forward, i.e. Kevin Durant or LeBron James, or do we go Jimmy Butler?
I think we pay up for a small forward and we play Aaron Gordon.
No Cousins? Yep.
I like it. I like that
option. I like that tan in there in power.
That will likely be my play if Cousins is out.
So, next question, LeBron or Durant?
Durant for me.
LeBron for me.
Tie break.
When Trent mentioned LeBron's form increase with the Tyronn Lue coaching, I think LeBron, he's back. Just because he's cheaper. If that was the same price, I'd go Kevin Durant, but a little bit cheaper.
So if we have 900 left, do you go up to Durant?
Possibly, yep.
Alright, so point guard, shooting guard. Let's go with point guard because there are some very solid options at the 5k range I want to throw at you. Jeff Teague, Deron Williams might be out. Jeremy Lin, Derrick Rose, Emmanuel Mudiay, and Elfrid Payton.
Jeff Teague.
And George Hill. So my vote there is Derrick Rose, but yeah, it's obviously
you're right.
here.
Rosie
I'm
cheese.
fine with both.
Yeah, I'm fine with both too. Have a quick look at shooting guard and see what's around if we pay up for around that price.
Alright, so around the that same price at shooting guard, we're looking at just the usual suspects.
Chalk.
Yeah, Will Barton, Avery Bradley, Joe Johnson, Kent Bazemore, Bradley Beal, who I just really want to play him on the day where he puts up his first 30 or so.
Yeah.
J.R. Smith, JJ Redick, and then it's a big drop off there.
That is super tough, right?
Yeah.
Or do you go waiters and pay up for a bigger point guard? Is there much to pay up for?
I've got waiters in my cousin's lineup, but yeah, if you go him and then go up to the 8-5, it'll be Isaiah Thomas.
Nah, don't really like it as much, do we?
Not loving it.
So
and next sort of fiddling around is Gobert down the hill and how much we have to spend.
That's a great idea. I like that idea.
How much we can spend on these, because I'm not super sold on the ranges.
You're not sold on the blocks, mate?
No, on the ranges of the shooting guard. That was what was getting me, because I do want to pay up for Butler, I think.
Yeah, so do I. I don't like many other options down there.
Can we get Butler and one of those point guards we talked about? It's
yes,
close.
We can.
It's close.
We can.
We can get anyone. Jeff Teague is the most expensive one.
Teague or Rose. Or Tony Rotten.
Last year he was a valid fantasy play.
He was one of my favourites.
This year he's just been rotten.
Yeah.
Oh.
Alright, so
I have to tweet out to Ash and the guys at Moneyball and just let them know, I reckon.
Alright, so who do we like? My pick is Derrick Rose.
You've talked me into it.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at with the salary to spend. I'll definitely pick Rose over Hill.
Yep.
I'd only play Hill if I had 4-9 left.
Rose over Teague though? I do.
Yeah, I think so.
Rose.
Just safe. I think it's like Rose has got a good balance of safety and then also stealing, whereas Teague's a little bit.
This is this is the first lineup I made today. This is actually the first lineup I made.
So now we know who is the better salesman of the group.
So?
Better salesman of the group then.
You
selling us all, mate.
No, this is the first one I made, but then I changed it. I'll throw my final one out. Russell Westbrook, Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler, Dion Waiters, Robert Covington, Harrison Barnes, DeMarcus Cousins, Derek Favors, Jordan Hill.
It's tough for us to recommend the Cousins lineup.
Yeah, we can't put Cousins in this lineup.
Oh,
that's what I came up. I think this is as per the chalk. We always find it, right? But the only one I don't like there is LeBron, but it's the least objectionable, and he's been excellent. There's no denying it.
Can't believe you'd go against LeBron. You're a massive fan.
I'm a big LeBron fan, but that's because I'm a realist. The stuff that's happened has happened.
Says the guy that's not a fan of Steph Curry.
Hey, he's the greatest shooter of all time. Greatest shooter of all time. Sort of like a sub top 10 point guard defender though. So, were you locking this in? I think we're spot on. I'll quickly come down so I can see it. I mean, you've got your elites, and the fact we have two. Like, I think that's just flown under the radar. We have 21,500 spent over just two players, but we've still somehow found a line.
I think we have three elites.
Yeah, you got Jimmy.
Oh, we do, but I just mean the fact that we've spent so much on just two players. That's kind of weird considering I would say this team has a pretty high floor. Like the 5Kers
they're great.
They're all in good form. I would say apart from Barnes, who hasn't been in like super form, he's been a bit up and down, but as we mentioned, he's in a great matchup.
And he's in the price range where you need a 15 to remain like on
the
solid ground.
Team. And we're playing Jordan Hill, which I don't love to go, but even I'd play him tomorrow. So that says something.
Yeah. Oh man, it is an 11 game slate, and that's basically the biggest issue when building your team, because there are so many options. Like as opposed to today's 5 game slate, there were 5 point guards in play. You had to pick 2 of them. That's just a pick 'em. Now it's 11 in play. You got to pick 22 in play. And 10 today. And there's so many right answers, but I think we have basically hit the nail on the head here.
Yep, looks good.
Yeah. The matchups are just the cherry on top of a tasty, tasty cake. So, lock it in. Did you say you tweeted it out?
Tasty cake tweet has been sent out. Also tweeted at Big Buck Hunter and your boy the Big Sicko as well, and let him know that we had a bit of a chat about him.
He's not my boy.
Oh, you mentioned him. You dropped him.
You name dropped. So
no, I'm just saying. I think they're the same like they're
they are.
something, yeah.
They're part of Fantasy HQ with on the Mac. Those blokes.
Because they always have the same lineup. So I was like, yeah. All right then, lock it in. So thanks for tuning in. We found a pretty strong lineup here. We hope you found some tips from it and got some good ideas. Maybe you use this lineup, maybe you don't. But regardless, we hope you have a great day on Moneyball tomorrow playing the double ups, the Thursday Monster, whatever it is. So for overundertalk.com, I've been Damien Karowski, aka DM Karowski. This has been Jake Nichols, aka Tachyon. Anything to add here?
Join the over under $2 tournament. You'll find it on Moneyball.
There you go. To my left, my right, sorry, your left, Trent Arnold, aka Trent Arnold NBA. Anything to sign off with, Trent?
Ball is life.
There you go. Alright. Have a good night.
Alright, see you guys.